Hey everyone, this is Stealth. Welcome back to Heroes Workshop. And someone told me in another video that I should trim my eyebrows. Why would someone do something so stupid when you have eyebrows like me? People pay to have caterpillar eyebrows like me. So to that man I say, you're jealous. Well, enough of that. Time to peddle some YouTube video on the masses to see if it finds an audience. So today's build, as usual, I'm going to be taking some EVA foam and I'm going to be turning it into this. That's right. I'll be building the Taskmaster helmet from the upcoming Black Widow movie that was horribly delayed many times, but we're finally getting it in July. So I figured I'd make something from the movie and feed Lord Algorithm. So I have no idea, like I know who Taskmaster is, but I have no idea about his powers. The only thing I know is like he can absorb fighting styles. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's if he looks at the fighting style or he has to actually engage with person fighting. If you guys let me know in the comments, that'd be awesome. I'm not really too familiar with this character. So if you want to make your own Taskmaster foam cosplay helmet, I have the Pepakura file available. You can get the file and follow along the video, all the tips and tricks, and build one yourself. I also have the Taskmaster full armor templates. You can get them as well if you want to make the entire suit, and you can get them from the same place as the helmet file. And as always, if you're new to Pepakura foam building and cosplay in general and you want to get started, this is a great way to get into the hobby. I have an in-depth video on my channel and learn all the techniques. You can build a sample project and then you can apply all those techniques you learned on a sample project on any foam Pepakura file you come across, and it should be no problem. Okay, so I cut out all the templates for the Taskmaster helmet. I'm going to be using different thicknesses of foam. So I'm going to be using this half-inch foam puzzle mat. This is going to be basically the dome of the helmet. I'm using it because it has this nice texture. So his helmet actually has texture on it, so only this part, otherwise the rest of the detail is going to be way too thick to use this this kind of foam. But yeah, it'll look good with the texture. It'll really pop once I paint it and do some weathering on it or airbrushing, whatever I choose. I'm using this thin 5mm foam for, there's a lot of trim, especially around the visor. For the rest of the parts, I'm just going to be using some 8mm foam. The Pepakura template, once you print it, will be in pieces, especially the dome section. So make sure you tape the pieces together to create larger sections, like I teach in the Pepakura foam tutorial. That way you're just not having to glue this together, you know, two foam pieces, and you're wasting time. So I did it here, and another one of the dome sections. And then these little pieces here, I actually merged this on the file so you won't have to worry about that. Make sure to pay attention to the model on the Pepakura designer for bevels. So any angles you see, depending on how sharp they are, that's what will dictate, you know, what kind of bevel you do. You know, sharp bevel, angle, you know, slight angle. I teach this in the Pepakura tutorial, so watch that and you can just apply, you know, how to do those angles to this file and basically any file that you come across. So this is the visor area. Remember to put the gluing tab, because there's going to be pieces that glue on top of that. Plus it's going to be very difficult if you don't have a gluing tab because it's so thin. But the gluing tab helps. Luckily there was one at this part. And then yeah, then the visor will glue in there after. I'll show you guys that later. I did some cuts ahead of time. These were tricky, so I did them off camera. So these are the rings that go on the side of the helmet. It'll go on this section here. This is the side. So try to do a bevel cut on the edge here as much as you can. And then when you glue it together, it'll kind of like arch up like that. Then you put it on here. You can see once you glue it down, it'll like prop up a bit. Then you can put, and then this piece here has an outward bevel. You just glue it in like that. All these cuts, straight cuts, bevel cuts, inward, outward, all that, it's taught in the build cosplay using EVA foam and Pepakura designer tutorial. Check it out. It's the one I mentioned in the beginning. Also, if you just want to learn the bevels for this project, you can check out the specific bevel angle cut video. So have a look. And you can apply those techniques to this build or any other project using Pepakura foam templates. not sure if this helmet's gonna fit me or not, but since I don't need it for a cosplay or anything, it doesn't really matter. It's just for fun to build something cool from the Black Widow movie that's coming out. Before we can assemble all these pieces, we're gonna have to heat shape them, especially these parts. We're gonna have to heat shape these, probably like this, just by squeezing it, because you need them a bit more rounded. Because when they connect, you know, it's not gonna connect very well. It's not gonna be much of a curve. So try to heat curve and heat shape as much as possible. And any other pieces that need a curve, probably like this faceplate section. And yeah, maybe this chin guard thing. The heat shape, I'm going to be using the styrofoam ball wrapped in foil, propped up on a roll of tape. And the foil is just so that, you know, insulates the heat, doesn't melt the styrofoam. And that's pretty much it. Let's get to it. So to heat shape the foam, use a heat gun, and then just heat up the foam. Once it's warm enough, just shape it on the ball. Okay, you can see once it cools down, it holds its shape really nice. So just do that to the rest of the parts, and then we can start assembling the helmet. And to connect all the pieces, I'm going to be using contact cement, the forbidden butterscotch that somebody commented the other day was amazing. Contact cement, just apply it on both sides of any pieces that need to stick together, because the contact cement has to stick to itself. Okay, I'm going to be using just some foam scraps, and it's just going to be like a spreader, just to spread it onto the edge. That's about it, and then just wait for it to get tacky to the touch, and that's when you know you can start assembling the helmet. Make sure you're in a well ventilated area. I'm near a door with the door open. That way, because you don't want to breathe in these fumes. Kill some brain cells. Make sure you place it right on the edge, because that's going to be where the seam is going to be. So very important. So this is the piece that's going to connect to it. So the contact cement has become tacky. So it's sticky, but it's not like gooey. So I'm just going to connect just the front. Okay. So let's connect the two pieces together. So this is a slight angle. So this is where one edge is beveled and one is just straight cut. Because you don't want too much of a bevel on this. Apply the contact cement the same way, and any other parts that need to connect, always reference the Pepakura designer software and the model, to know what piece connects to what, and we can go on and assemble the rest of this Taskmaster helmet. Now next I'm gonna do the teeth details on the front of the faceplate. So what I did was I just took the pattern. You'll see it on the Pepakura template. So I just cut it apart. I've done this in the past using the template to be like a template for detail lines. I'm just gonna place it onto the area where I need to do the detail lines. Just lay it on top. Always use like a finer, don't use marker, it's gonna be too thick, unless you have a fine tip marker. I do this all the time, it's so easy to do details this way. especially if they're in the template already. To do the same thing with the remaining pieces for the upper lip area. So just follow the Pepakura model and just trace these exactly where they go. I'm going to do these off camera. I'm going to come back and we're going to etch in the detail lines. So all you really do is you just score the lines with a hobby knife. I do this for almost every project. You just score lightly, you don't cut through the foam, and then when you're done you just hit it with a heat gun and it will open up the lines and make the detail lines look more defined, and they'll stand out a lot more. Cut out them teeths, the teeths, teethies. Try to keep the knife moving, don't just stop, because you don't want like a cross hatch. So you'll know when it happens if you lift the knife. Try to start a line up again from somewhere else. Just try to do it like all in one go, like this, see? I learned that the hard way when I was getting that cross hatch action a lot of my detail lines. Now I'm going to go over the heat gun and then we'll see these lines stand out a bit more. But like I said, you'll notice once the helmet's actually painted. Okay, what I like to do is I let it cool down a bit, because then the lines really open up. And if you want them to open up a bit more, you can go over it again. But they opened up a lot. You can kind of see. They look like they're burnt in, kind of. It looks really good. The Taskmaster foam cosplay helmet is built and everything. All the details are done. So it's time to seal the helmet before we paint. The reason you seal the helmet is you don't want the paint soaking into the foam, because the foam is very porous and it makes your colors look flat. So always seal your foam first with something like I usually use like PVA glue type stuff. I mainly use Bounce. It has a nice rubberizer additive in it. It's very thin already, so you don't need to mix it with water, and I usually just put one coat. You can also use tacky glue, easier to find. You can mix it with water, maybe just like a little bit, just to make it a little bit more thinner. And the classic Mod Podge, same thing, works just like the tacky glue. I just love using Bounce. It's my favorite thing. It's my go-to, so I'll use that. If you guys can't find it, try the alternatives. So I'm just going to apply it with a brush. I'm just using like a cheap chip brush. I don't like using these. I usually like to use foam brushes, but I don't have any right now. Just be careful with these because the bristles like to come out. So check the thing you're working on. If there's any bristles, just pick them out. But I usually just like to kind of get them out already if they're loose. Okay, so take your brush, dip it in the solution you're going to use to seal it, and go nuts. It's going to be a while because all this texture, so see you guys later. The Bounce sealing solution has dried on the foam. You can see that it dries clear. So now that means it's ready to finally paint, and we can finish this thing up. Alright, the Taskmaster helmet's all painted up, looking pretty cool. What do you guys think? Now that the helmet's painted, I want to kind of weather it a bit. I just want to do like a wash because it's looking too clean. And the helmet has a lot of grime on it, especially in the texture. all over here, and on the faceplate there's a lot of grime. I just want to kind of simulate that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same black paint I used to paint the black details. I'm going to just water it down so it's thin. I've done this a bunch of times. A lot of cosplayers do this. A lot of prop makers do this. It's just a technique, just to give it some, you know, texture and layers of, I guess, grime that it would get in the real world. And all you do is you just take the watered down black acrylic paint. You can even do this with like brown paint and, you know, tans. It just depends on what kind of, you can make like rust effects. I just want to make black grime because he has black grime all over the helmet. And then you just take the brush and just go over the entire, probably gonna go over the entire helmet because it's like pretty much everywhere, especially on this area here. Then you just take your paper towel and you just kind of, you know, tap the area. You don't want it to all come off, but you do want to wipe where it's like a little bit too much and it's pooling, because when it dries it'll stay in all the little holes and stuff, because the texture holes it's like going right inside. If you leave on the wash too long it might dry, so to get a lot of the wash off just use some extra water and then wipe it off. That's if you you know, have to get up to go do something and then you forget and then you just left your helmet and it's covered in wash and you don't want to have that much. Okay, the wash has dried. Looks good. I like it, nice and grimy. We're gonna do some dry brushing. You can see on the reference of the helmet, all you need is a stiff brush and just some acrylic paint. I'm gonna use black. So you just take some paint, just a little bit, and tap it on the paper towel, just so it's not wet. That's why it's called dry brushing, but it still has some residue on it, I guess. Okay, what you're gonna do with this brush is you're just gonna scuff the edges. So it just adds another layer of that grime look that this helmet seems to have. So I go with that. Just go over it and be balanced in your chaos. I know it kind of doesn't make any sense, but you don't want to, like I said, you don't want to overdo it. Make it subtle and make it count. Okay, so I'm going to do the rest of the helmet and then we'll add the visor. It's time to do the visor and finish this helmet. So I just got some of this tinted plastic. It came from a sun visor. I used this in my Mandalorian helmet build, so check out that video. I also linked the item so you can get one and use it for your own build. So I just cut it to roughly the shape of the opening. I'm just going to put contact cement around the edge and then also on the inner edge of the helmet here, of this black border for the visor. I'm going to install it and then I'm going to add the contact cement somewhere around here. And then finally close the nose onto the visor itself, because they're not going to be able to measure perfectly and I don't want to put any contact cement over here yet. I want to install it and then I'll kind of gauge where the tip of the nose is and put some contact cement and then press it and it should be fine. So that completes the Taskmaster. Why am I yelling? So that completes the Taskmaster foam helmet build. You can build this for yourself. You can, like I said, you can get the armor files too. You can build the whole cosplay. You can be one of the first ones to cosplay this character and, you know, get all the clout in the world and be famous on the internet and all that. go for it. You can do it. I believe in you. So next video upload, I'm not sure when that will be, but I'll definitely be doing armors for a while. So yeah, look out for that. Doing some armor vlogs, personal builds, client builds. Client has allowed me to share the work on the channel for content, so that's awesome. So I can share that for video updates and everything, and work on my personal build and show you guys that too. It's gonna be a lot of fun. You're gonna see Stealth building some old school full armors and going all out and cutting loose, and that's about it. We'll see. So, and then I'll do some tutorials when I can, here and there in between. So this is Stealth from Heroes Workshop, and I'll see you guys soon with another video.
Stealth, where are you? Stealth! Stealth!